Corruption adversely affects each and every sector of the country.
Ideology. Just is a great location for Nepal to explore its potential.
Namaste. Welcome to Nepal's Top 7 Debaters 2014, produced by Leadership Academy.
This is the final round in the Category 6 of Bachelor's Level English Language, and the topic for today's competition is Import of Food Should Be Banned in Nepal.
Let me now introduce our panel of judges for today's final round. Our first judge is Mr. KESHAR. He is the principal of Budhanilkantha School.
Our second judge is DIG NAWA SILWAL. He is the Chief of Eastern Region of Nepal Police. He is known for introducing innovative mechanisms of effective policing in the country.
Our third judge is Mr. SATYAL. He is the head of department at Nepal Academy of Tourism and Hotel Management.
Our finalists in the Bachelor's Level English category are Raunab Singh Khatri from Kathmandu Model College and Mandira Tripathi from NAWA International College. Congratulations to both the finalists for making it to the final round of this national debate competition.
We will now begin with the debate.
Let us invite the first debater, Raunab Singh Khatri. He will be speaking for the motion.
Nepal importing food from other countries is like saying Nepal imports water from other countries because we have shortage of water. A very ironical, a very satirical, and a very painful situation for our country. And especially for that country who has a very high cultivation power and who has enough fertile land, enough to fulfill the calorie of each and every 3 crore people in this country. And still we are relying on import from other countries. Yes, we have food insecurity, that is the bitter truth, but this is the import of goods, import of food materials isn't the solution to the problem. Let me give you one example. 1 year before, fiscal year 2013, GDP of Nepal fell by 3.6% because of the 11% decrease in production of paddy. When finding out the reasons weren't because we had lack of fertile land. That's why we had to stop production of paddy. The reason wasn't because we had this natural calamities and all that swept away all this paddy production. The biggest reason was that the farmers couldn't get the prices they want. As a result, the paddy production from India, they were cheaper, and then they had to sustained in the market, and the consumers started taking those products. Now, my opponent might argue that if the Indian prices are cheaper, then why not encourage them instead of our own paddy production? Let me remind you again, because in spite of that, our GDP still fell by 3.6%. 3.6% is not a joke, where the GDP of a country is in billions and billions of dollars. Even 1% count for so much loss. The another reason, in 2067 and in 2066 and in 67, agriculture imports, food imports were only 13.7 billion rupees. 1 year after, agriculture imports skyrocketed to 54.7 billion rupees, and most of these goods were those imports where Nepal has tremendous potential to produce their own goods and instead sell to the market. We were once the net exporter of goods, but now we are the importer. Therefore, what I would like to suggest is that when a machine has a technical problem, then that machine has to be repaired, that machine has to be maintained, and it has to be reused again. Our problem is on self-production. We have to produce our own goods, not import another machines again, because if we import that, the cost will be high. Therefore, we have to repair it, we have to maintain it, and we have to sustain ourselves. Therefore, import of food should be banned in Nepal. Thank you.
To present her views against the motion, I'd like to call on stage Mandira Tripathi.
My worthy opponent, economy doesn't run on arbitrary principles. It has its own root and its own fundamentals. By saying this, I would like to say a few statements. When Mahatma Gandhi in India said, we should not substitute labor-oriented manufacturing for machine-oriented manufacturing as it takes away their job. And when Mao Zedong in China said that we should double the production, and the production instead did not increase, but then it started declining, claiming the lives of millions of people with hunger. By saying this, I would like to say that isolating or restricting the economy is not the solution to take a country to another level. It's actually letting the productive utilization of its resources, mobilizing the resources. But in this modern era of globalization, a nation will get many opportunities and many threats. Nepal, being a developing country, is it being afraid, or is it fearing of the challenges, or is it eager to take the opportunities? My friend, trade is not a zero-sum game where one wins and one loses. By saying this, I would like to put forth my statement that import of food should not be banned in Nepal. Why? Why should it be banned in Nepal? You're speaking about the primitive times of economy where the country would produce its own goods, own foods and things that would be able for them to sustain. But now in this modern era, our needs are endless. By saying this, I would like to say that we have already stepped ourselves in the world economy. Being a developing nation, the transition towards being a developed nation. We always have to focus that isolating ourselves is not the only solution to providing our farmers, our entrepreneurs a way of developing or a way of providing their costs in the country itself. I would like to state it in an economical way. We have already been a member of World Trade Organization since 2004, and we have laid out a boundary of where do we have to be. And in this modern era, is it feasible, is it logical to draw back, to withdraw from the economy itself? No, my dear opponent. I would like to tell you that yes, Nepal is developing in a slow pace, where the cooperative farmings are also booming. Here, till date, as a survey, we have more than 3,000 numbers of agriculture cooperative, more than 700 dairy, more than 200 agriculture fruits and vegetables, and more than 100 tea. Instead of banning the imports of food, we can actually encourage our farmers to produce more. The import substitution is not the only solution. Here, by saying this, I'd like to give examples of emerging nations, the Asian tigers, where they have been export-oriented, producing their own goods and exporting to other nations without restricting the import. My friend, I would like to put forth my legal topic as well about the food rights. Where is the consumer's food right? Therefore, we should not ban the import of food in Nepal. Thank you.
Perhaps the biggest threat that globalization ever provides to a special developing nation like ours, an underdeveloped nation like ours, as we have all read in textbooks, is the threat to sovereignty, the threat to domestic production, and the threat to domestic industries. When agriculture country like ours, most of the people engage themselves in agriculture, and it is the major occupation of majority of people who have to sustain themselves through cultivation of food. When we can't sustain ourselves and start importing these food materials from other countries, then what will be the impact of these majority people who spend their entire life in food production? Do we have the answer to this, my dear opponent? Thank you.
In a case between Madhav Kumar Basnet and Madhav Kumar Basnet versus Prime Minister Girija Prasad Koirala and other ministers, the case stated that out of 75 districts of Nepal, 32 were facing food deficit and 10 districts amongst them were facing acute scarcity. My worthy opponent, is national sovereignty beyond the lives of their citizens? My worthy opponent, where is the food right as stated by the Constitution of Nepal, Article 18.3, that every citizen has the right to food sovereignty as for stated in the law? A country should focus on the livelihood of their citizens itself, where the prime focus is that they should take care of their citizens. Proper access of food should be there. And in this state of food deficit, will our country be able to produce that amount of food that is required in all the districts of Nepal? I would like to ask my opponent, please, can you tell me that do we have that ample amount of cultivation area in Nepal? Thank you very much.
May I invite the finalists to come up on stage, and I request the judges for their comments.
Well, Ronak, the performance has been very impressive so far, and I really like the body language, and the content is very good as well. So it looks you are well prepared. I also like the fact that you have the conviction, so just keep it up. The only suggestion I've got for you is I think you will need to watch out with some of the words, the way you pronounce them. The other is you identified the problem, but maybe it might be a good idea to suggest some solutions as well. And Mandira, you're doing very well as well, very impressive. Your body language is equally good and you're very assertive as well. So you have the conviction to yourself as well. But time management, I think, is something that you will have to watch out.
Roundup, you were excellent, but I would say there's still a room for you to improve. While speaking on motion, there you have several issues that you can raise, but given the time limit that you have to restrict within the time and try to get the more important issue within that time. Otherwise, you can talk for a minute, for hours in this topic anyway. But you have to be sure that you bring in the important ones within that time, and that can support you in your improving your argument. While saying that we would like to ban the import of foods into our territory, you should be also able to give the alternatives. How do you support your people here? How do you support the agriculture? Revolutionize the agriculture, support the industry, and frame the new policies to support our farmers, our farming strategies, agriculture strategies, kind of stuff. Those are the areas you would probably like to come up. I'd like to suggest you to bring in these points in your next round of debate. And Mandira, you've done excellent. I'm really impressed with the way you presented yourself, and you have the kind of confidence that you've shown on the stage. I'd like to appreciate that. Having said that, you also have several points to raise, but within the given time, you should be able to bring in the best ones that can impress us, the judges, right? So you could, because we are global kind of the world today, global village, we cannot be banned, we cannot be restricted. The society or a country cannot be isolated. And we'd also like to share the expertise from each other, not just the food. Food is the means. And there also sovereignty of people to test the food that is produced in another country, to test the life that has been prevalent in another continent of the world. So this is also right. So you should bring in some ideas, innovative ideas that can prove your logics, that can assert your logics better.
Thank you very much, and congratulations to both of you. Came out very loud and clear. It was very fun listening to you. There are a few points I would like to point out to both of you together. That's, first of all, I really did not notice much of the points in either of your presentations. There were not much concrete points within it. Very few points, and that was being more or less repeated. Now, regarding your presentation, I would like to say, first to run up, when you have very solid points to put forward, your body was really threatening, kind of, you're pointing fingers. So when you have very solid points, you really don't have to project very aggressive action. That needs to be reduced, which was there. I saw it in your presentation. So if you could somehow subside that, it would have come out much more and in a better way. And regarding whenever you have points, try to put in some pitch or volume in certain areas. It was coming at, it was loud and clear, but the volume was at the same pace. You need to go up and down to prove a point so that the audience can be captured more. Now regarding Mandira, yes, you're very loud, your pitch was very clear, very obvious. But again, as I said, the points that were coming were not really segregated. The differences could not be really observed all that much, But in overall, what I liked about you, you've done some research, you're relating some to facts and figures, some of the dharas and upadharas you were quoting from the legal books, which was good. Those are good points. In general, overall, it came out very clear, very nice, all the best.
We will continue with the final round of Nepal's Top 7 Debaters 2014 Season 3 after a break.
Welcome back. You're watching Nepal's Top 7 Debaters 2014, and we are featuring the final round in the Category 6, Bachelor's Level English Language.
We will now begin with the rebuttal round.
My friend believes that importing food from other countries will help to reduce food deficit that is happening in most of the districts of Nepal. Let me tell you something. If you give man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach man how to catch a fish, you feed him for the entire lifetime. Yes, we can import goods, but for how long? As I've already told, we have more than 40 billion rupees of trade deficit from 067 to 068. Then, is it the solution? No. I believe that we have to train this youth in this food deficit area. Then we can sustain ourselves, and then we can produce foods for our living, and not only just for living, for export as well. Thank you.
My worthy opponent, ban on import of food is not the solution either. Let me remind you the theory of absolute advantage, where Adam Smith states that a country should focus on resources it is good at and import the resources it is comparatively not good at. My friend, banning import doesn't reduce the food deficit. Instead, we are facing a double-digit inflation right now. In one hand, we won't be able to produce the ample amount of goods, and on the other hand, we have already restricted the import of foods. Now, how will we deal with that situation? Even when we haven't put a ban on food imports, we are facing a severe weightage of inflation over food and beverage and over other agricultural items over foods. At this situation, we are having a problem. Tell me, my worthy opponent, will we be able to face that situation? Instead, we should try and encourage our farmers to focus on the production, cooperative farming. Thank you very much.
United States of America. There, out of the entire fertile land, only 0.15% of this entire fertile land is used for agriculture. And still, United States of America is a net exporter of food. This statistic was shown by Wikipedia. And now talk about our country. Out of the entire land of our country, 29.7% of the land is cultivable for agriculture. And we have just hardly around 2 crore people. Why can't we sustain ourselves? And let me remind this to my opponent. When does a country really import something? When we don't have sufficient area to produce, or we don't have sufficient technology to produce that goods, then we have to import those from the other countries. And with 29.7%, can't we produce foods in our own country? Yes, I believe with the proper technology, if we have technology, if we have manpower, we need to bring people back, our Nepalese back from the Gulf countries. So many people, so many Nepalese have come back from the Gulf countries and they have started the agriculture here. If we can do that, then yes, definitely we can be exporter of foods again, rather than being the importer of foods. Thank you.
My worthy opponent, I stated earlier that trade is not a zero-sum game. Are you sure that if we put a ban in our imports, other countries will start exporting from us? We don't want to turn ourselves into autarky. Here, when I say we should not put a ban in import, I do not mean to say that we should not encourage our farmers to do cooperative farming. Slow and steady wins the race. That's what I try to say. If you try to restrict and isolate, will we have enough imports of techniques? Will our manpower be that efficient? No. Still, I'd like to say that no, food should not be banned. Import of food should not be banned. Instead, we should try and encourage our farmers in cooperative farming. We should try and tell them to we should try and train them. The government should make more access of food instead of banning an import on food. Thank you very much.
Now we'll have second round of comments by the judges.
Congratulations, Ronak and Mandira Tripathi. Your, in fact, rebuttal round, I found it very interesting. It was very focused and to the point. Congratulations and best of luck to both of you. Thank you.
Mandira and Ronak, both of you have done wonderfully well. I'm satisfied with the kind of presentation you have given. And you have all the potentials to be the greatest debaters of this nation or beyond the nation. And both have tried to prove the points that you've raised earlier during this rebuttal round. And both have tried to refute the points that the opponents has raised. You both have done well. Congratulations to you both.
Congratulations, both of you. I was really impressed with the way you presented in the rebuttal round, because you were given a very short time, and with the proverb or with the quotation, you were able to answer most of the questions. It was very short and sweet. I really like that one. And as Sir said, both of you have the potential to be great orators and make Nepal proud in the days to come. So I wish best of luck to both of you.
While the judges are busy finalizing their marks, I request the participants to come up on stage.
The winner is Mandira Tripathi. I'd like to congratulate her. And the runner-up obviously is Raunab Singh. Congratulations to you.
May I request our judge, Mr. KHULAL, to please come up on the stage to hand over the winner certificate and a gift voucher of Youth Forum to our winner, Mandira Tripathi.
We also have the runner-up certificate and gift voucher for our runner-up. I request our judge, Mr. SATYAL, to please come up on stage and hand over the certificate and gift voucher.
If you are a student studying in between grade 7 and bachelor's level, you can apply for Nepal's Top 7 Debaters 2015.
We invite you to participate in the alternative education programs run by Leadership Academy. You can call our office at 980-203-2195 or email us at leadershipacademyktm@gmail.com. We will be back next week with the announcement of special mention winner of Nepal's Top 7 Debaters 2014. Have a nice week. Namaste.